Michael presiding. May the jury please rise and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will truly listen to this case and offer a fair verdict to the defendant?
Yes.
You may be seated.
Members of the jury, your duty today will be to determine whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty based only on the facts and evidence provided in this case. The prosecution has the burden of proving the guilt of the defendant beyond reasonable doubt. This burden remains on the prosecution through the duration of the trial. The prosecution must prove that a crime is committed and the defendant is the person who committed the crime. However, if you are not satisfied with the defendant's guilt to that extent, then reasonable doubt exists and the defendant must be found not guilty. What is the case in question today?
The case is South Carolina versus Psy Miles.
Will the defendant please rise? How do you plead to the charges raised against you?
I plead not guilty.
You may be seated. Is the prosecution ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Prosecution, you may present your opening statement.
Your Honor, members of the jury, my name is Dana Trotta, representing the state of South Carolina for prosecution in this case. Psy Miles committed the crime of causing the death of Janet Porter in the Crowley Theater in Ross County, South Carolina. We hope to prove to you that he has committed murder, the killing of any person with malice aforethought, or manslaughter, the unlawful killing of another without malice. The defendant has a history of crime and lying. He is unreliable. Why should we trust him? The facts of this case are as follows. Jody Rivers and the defendant met and formed a band. This band is called Ambition. Since their meeting, they have performed on many occasions. Recently, two Ambition members, Jody Rivers and the defendant, got in an argument about performing with pyrotechnics. The start of this argument took place on October 12th when Jody Rivers agreed to have pyrotechnics for their performance. Jody called Ms. Gallagher, an associate record producer, on October 14th to let her know that the defendant would not be performing with Ambition as he had left the band. On October 26, 2019, the Can You Take It concert was to take place in the Crowley Theater. At around 5:10 p.m., Jody went to the stage for a sound check and noticed the defendant on the stage near the equipment and pyro. He then tried to quickly leave. Why was he at the show when he previously said he wouldn't be there? They then got into another argument about performing with pyro. Both Jody and Finley Fusco, the venue manager, stated on several occasions that the argument took place at 5:10 p.m. While the defendant claims it was before 5 o'clock p.m., revealing that he is inconsistent. After the argument, Jody saw the defendant lingering around the side exit doors. He was fiddling with something in his pockets. Why was he by the doors again when they wouldn't open the first time? As he was leaving out the main doors, he told only one person that the side doors was locked. This was not the venue manager, the performers, the pyrotechnician, but a witness who was a reporter. What caused him to only tell the reporter, who was already leaving, when he knows how much of a safety hazard these doors can be? At 5:15, the defendant was leaving to go to his black Uber XL. He ran into an Ambition fan on the way out. They talked for 15 minutes. The stand is witness to and said that the defendant mentioned something about having a quick meeting with the record producer in Madison. The defendant is lying about where he was going because he had claimed to have been on his way to Clover Park for a walk in his testimony. So now not only is the defendant unreliable, but he's also inconsistent. He's proven his statements are inconsistent. The band's Ambition was to take stage at 6 o'clock p.m. It was posted at 5:55 p.m. from a Facebook account named Cynical Songwriter, stating that the band is going to bomb in more ways than one. In the post, it stated that Psy wasn't going to be there. Just a minute later, a witness had replied and said, was tagged in it by a crazy fan who had made what appears to be a bomb threat. Folks should exit in an orderly fashion. When the defendant's Uber ride was over around 6 o'clock p.m., he had the Uber driver turn back around and head to the theater. On his way back, around 6:20, he deleted his Facebook account. When he got to the theater at 6:30,
Then, when Ambition entered the stage at 6 o'clock, they realized no one was paying attention and they were all frantically looking at their phones. At 6:02, the pyro went off in an unexpected way and everyone in a daze rushed towards the 2 exits. As everyone rushed to the exits, they quickly realized that the side exit doors were jammed. The witness knew about the doors being jammed. The defendant still didn't tell anyone, which could have saved injuries and a life. Finley Fusco, the Corley manager, called 911 at 6:03, alerting emergency management on scene. Janet Porter, a young woman, and during the panic, she was trampled on and transported to hospital at 6:40 p.m. She passed away later that night at 7:13. It was only 2 days after her 27th birthday. She sustained many injuries, including, but not limited to, a large laceration on her face, broken ribs, a compound fracture on the left femur with approximately 3 inches of bone protruding through the skin. This innocent woman's death could have been prevented if someone knew about the exit doors, and the defendant knew about the doors but didn't say anything to anyone who could have helped, which displays that yet again the defendant is unreliable. While the defendant was being questioned, Charlie Ziegler noticed guitar string cuts on his hand. The defendant claimed it was from restringing the guitar. On November 4th, 2019, while an inspection was conducted, a guitar string was found jammed in the lock of the side door's locking mechanism. Jody Rivers, a band member, will testify that she met with Axel at 4 o'clock p.m. to discuss the pyrotechnics. She went out to soundcheck at 5:10. Finally, she will testify that she saw the defendant linger around the side exit doors. Charlie Ziegler, our expert witness and forensic analyst, will testify that he conducted interviews outside around 6:40 p.m. He saw Jet constantly checking his phone, and Psy had guitar cuts on his fingers. Finley Fusco, the venue manager for the Corley Theater, will testify that before the show he did his usual check. This included checking the doors, which when he checked, the doors were unlocked and free of anything blocking them. The defendant was the first person near these doors after them being checked. Finley then witnessed the defendant and Jody's argument about the pyro before the show. Finally, he will testify that he called 911 at 6:03. Fusco and Witt, who both witnessed the argument, were interviewed, and Witt states that he set the pyro at 5, went out to the unlocked side doors after that. He will also testify that he checked the side doors after everyone was cleared out and they wouldn't open. You will see later that the forensic analysis run on the defendant's phone shows his search history is concerning. The searches read as follows: criminal penalties for threats on both October 26th and October 24th, concerts gone wrong on October 24th, and criminal threats on October 24th. He claims to have been searching criminal penalties for threats because Jody had threatened him. On October 24th, there were no threats by Jody Rivers, so why was the defendant searching all this? This can all be transferred back to when the defendant was younger and he had been causing trouble. He intentionally misused fireworks and ended up burning a building down. He pled guilty to second-degree arson. How can we tell that he has changed? We can't. He is inconsistent and unreliable, and is proven over and over again through his actions. The burden of proof lies with us, and we will prove without a reasonable doubt that Psy Miles is guilty of murder. I ask the jury to make a lawful decision with all the evidence you hear today in this court of law.
Defense, you may present your opening statement.
Your Honor, members of the jury, my name is Elizabeth Goldman, and I am representing the defense in this case. Before we begin, we would like to thank the members of the jury for being here today. The prosecution must prove that Psy Miles is responsible for the charges of murder with malice and manslaughter. Psy Miles was framed for jamming the side doors and creating the threatening Facebook post. Psy Miles and Jody Rivers met at Buddy's Burgers. They instantly knew that they should form a band together, and they named it Ambition. They signed a contract saying that they had equal rights to the song that they write together. After a while, Jody thought the show needed more excitement, so she got an electric keyboard player without asking for Psy's approval. At that point, Psy had been thinking about pursuing a solo career. Jack Jones was ready to pounce on Psy like a cat with questions regarding the keyboard player. Psy was not in the mood to answer those questions. Answer Jet's questions. On October 7th, 2019, Jody told Psy that they had a performance on October 12th at Corley Theater. After the performance, Ambition met with Jessica Gallagher. She was a record producer who wanted them to perform for her boss, and if it went well, they would get a record deal. Miss Gallagher really wanted Psy and Jody to add some pyrotechnics, lights, and digital effects. Psy did not really want to add any more to the show, but Jody immediately said yes before Psy could even give his opinion. Psy then decided that was the final straw. Psy and Jody got into a little argument over the contract they signed. Jody told Psy that she was able to play all songs, even the ones from before they met, even though the contract only says the songs they wrote together. Psy knew the only way to settle this was by getting a lawyer and taking the issue to court. On October 26, 2019, Psy found out that Jody and the band were going to be playing in the Can You Dig It charity concert in Corley Theater at 6 p.m. Psy decided to try and go to talk to Jody about using his songs at 5 p.m. during the sound check. When he arrived, he tried to go in through the side doors, but they were locked. Psy then used the main stairwell to get into the building. When he got to the stage, he saw Jody with a screwdriver in one hand and a wrench in the other, as if Jody was tampering with the pyro box. Jody seemed surprised to see him and asked him why he came. Psy told her that he just came to ask if she would not play his songs from before they met, or else he would have to take the issue to court. Jody just laughed in his face and told him that he wouldn't be able to prove the songs were his and to leave so she could finish the sound check. Psy then left and told Jet Jones that the side doors were stuck on his way out. When he got outside, he made an Uber request at 5:15. At this time, he met a fan named Stevie Raven, spoke with him, and gave him an autograph. By 5:30, he was headed to a park to clear his mind. At around 6 p.m., Psy got a notification that something bad was going to happen at the Corley Theater. He was quick to ask the Uber driver to turn around so he could go and make sure everyone was all right. Jet Jones was tagged in the post and reposted another version of it to warn fans to leave. During the concert, the pyrotechnics went off unexpectedly and resulted in a stampede. This resulted in the death of Janet Porter. When he got there at around 6:30, Deputy Ziegler went to investigate him, or interview him. And Deputy Ziegler is the forensic analyst who investigated the evidence in this case. Deputy Ziegler asked about Psy's cut-up fingers, which were from restringing his guitar a few days prior to the incident. Then, Psy pulled out his phone to check the news, and Deputy Ziegler took it illegally from him to get expected. He didn't interpret the search history correctly. He did not examine the crime scene thoroughly, but he jumped to a conclusion with a lack of evidence and assumed that Psy of all the crime. With 20-plus years of experience, you would expect a thorough investigation, but all we got was an easy scapegoat. Psy is being accused of writing the threatening Facebook post, which was not made by him. Anyone could have made the Facebook account Cynical Songwriter at Corley Theater. Since a VPN was used, it is impossible to know who the account belongs to. We will call 3 witnesses to the stand: Psy Miles, Jet Jones, and Stevie Raven. Psy Miles will testify that he saw Jody near the pyro holding tools, and he had nothing to do with any of the events that happened on October 26, 2019. Jet Jones will testify that she got tagged in a threatening Facebook post and that she was always looking for an interesting story. Stevie Raven will testify that he is a big fan of Ambition and had a nice conversation with Psy before Psy left. The prosecution must prove that Psy was responsible for the death of fan Janet Porter without a reasonable doubt. I want the jury to consider that anyone could have jammed the door or made the Facebook post. Psy was an easy scapegoat for whoever caused the horrible events from the concert. He is now being charged with murder and manslaughter. Please remember that malice is to have the intention or desire to cause harm, and manslaughter is the act of killing a human without malice.
Prosecution, you may call your first witness. We would like to call Jody Rivers to the stand. Will the witness please be sworn in by the bailiff? I do. At what time did you walk out onto the stage prior to the show?
5:10.
What did you see when you walked onto the stage for the sound check?
I saw someone near the pyrotechnics, and it turned out to be Psy.
How did he act when you saw him when walking on stage?
He acted surprised. He ran away from me, and he seemed to just run away. I didn't know why though.
Why do you think you were surprised?
Maybe because of me. I guess I must have surprised him.
How long was Psy there for?
I mean, I don't know exactly how long he was there for, but we argued for a few minutes, and then he was near the side doors for a few more minutes. So
Did you see him fiddling with something near the side doors?
I saw him fiddling with something in his pockets, but I couldn't tell what it was.
What was your idea of what was supposed to happen with the pyro?
It was just supposed to be a few flashing lights and, like smoke and stuff.
Obviously that didn't happen. What did happen?
It was a huge bang, and there was stuff everywhere, like sparkles, and like it was. I thought I was gonna die. It was not what I expected at all.
No further questions.
Does the defense wish to cross-examine this witness?
Yes. Why did you decide it was best for you to make the executive decision to add a keyboard player before consulting Psy?
I thought we needed more excitement in the band. I mean, we've been playing in buddies for a few years, but our sound needed more excitement. We just had like this breakdown sound and it needed to be pumped up.
Why do you believe that Psy was the one who put the guitar string in the door?
Objection, opinion, Your Honor.
Sustained.
What instruments do you play?
I play the guitar, and I'm a lead vocalist.
Miss Burke, can you pull up Exhibit 11? Mhm. As a guitar player, do you know how to handle guitar strings?
I would say so, yeah.
What did Psy say when he asked you not to play the songs he wrote? Or what did you say when Psy asked you not to play the songs he wrote?
I said that the contract entitled me for equal rights to the song.
Are you aware that the contract does not entitle you to play songs written by Psy before Ambition was formed?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Sustained.
We have no further questions.
Does the prosecution wish to redirect this witness?
No, Your Honor.
The witness may step down from the stand. Defense, you may call your first witness to the stand.
Psy Miles.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Psy, has this accusation left cloudiness over your name?
Yeah.
What did you notice about the doors as you made an attempt to enter Corley Theater?
They were jammed.
Who did you tell that they were jammed?
I told Jet Jones.
When did the police officer take your phone relative to getting a warrant?
He took it before getting a warrant. He just snatched it out of my hands.
How long does it take to empty Corley Theater?
If both doors were, working, about 30 minutes.
How concerned were you that the pyro device would malfunction?
I was pretty concerned.
What does the contract between you and Jody say regarding the songs written before the band was formed?
It said that he didn't have any rights to the songs I wrote because the contract stated that we would have equal rights to the songs we made.
When you entered the Corley, what did you see?
I saw Jody near the pyrotechnics.
When you asked Jody not to play the songs you wrote, what did she say?
She said that I would have a hard time trying to prove that that I wrote the songs before we met.
What were you doing at 5:15?
I was talking to a fan and booking my Uber.
Your Honor, according to Exhibit 8, the Uber ride was requested at 5:15 p.m. Exhibit 9 shows that the account was created at 5:14 p.m. It would be impossible to create a Facebook account and request an Uber ride in a span of a minute. Why were your hands cut up before the show?
I was restringing a guitar a few days prior.
In Exhibit 8, your search history is shown. Were they taken out of context?
Yes,
When did you search criminal penalties for threats?
because I thought Jody making the threat about breaking the contract could have been illegal.
Why did you search concerts gone wrong?
Because I was genuinely worried that the pyrotechnics might not work at this big of a show.
Why did you search Home Depot?
Because my sink broke and I need tools to fix it.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Does the prosecution wish to cross-examine this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. How long have you played guitar?
I've played guitar for around 15 years.
Have you ever met Whit Axel?
I have not.
What time was it when you went to the side doors?
It was around 5 p.m.
In lines 157 to 160 of your statement, you say, when I arrived, I tried to enter the theater through the side stair doors. They were jammed or locked. I ended up going through the main doors, but when I got into the theater, it was a few minutes before 5. Is that correct?
Yes,
Why didn't you tell the event manager about the locked side door?
because I hadn't run into him yet.
How did you get the cut on your fingers?
Restringing a guitar.
Why were you going to Madison?
To meet with a record, what's the word?
In lines 189 to 190 of your statement, you say, I wanted time to clear my head and go for a walk in Clover Park. Is that true?
Yes,
How could you have been in both of those places at the same time?
I maybe have come.
How did you find out about something happening in the Corley Theater?
I saw Jet Jones repost.
In lines 213 to 215, you say, likewise, I deleted my Facebook account when I was about 10 minutes from returning to the Corley Theater on the 26th. Like I said, I was trying to clear my head from social media, and social media is not exactly great for that. Why would you delete the Facebook at that moment, especially when Jet had said live updates to follow in his post?
Because I wanted to clear my head from social media.
In lines 210 to 211 and 212 in your testimony, you said that you searched concerts gone wrong because you were worried about what may happen with the pyro after seeing people near it. Yet in Exhibit 8 shows that you searched it on October 26th at 11:08 a.m. This is even before you saw anyone near the pyro. Can you explain this?
Yes. I was genuinely worried because at most big shows, the pyrotechnics might, malfunction.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Does the defense wish to redirect?
No, Your Honor.
The witness may step down from the stand. Prosecution, you may call your second witness to the stand.
We would like to call Charlie Ziegler to the stand.
May the witness please rise to be sworn in by the bailiff.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. What qualifications do you have as an expert?
I'm a forensic analyst, and I graduated from Francis Marion University in 1999 with a degree in sociology and criminal justice.
Where have you worked before this?
I worked with the Ross County Sheriff Department for 11 years, and then I worked with the Drug Enforcement Agency. And it was there I became interested in technology, and I took a course in the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, and then I came back to the Ross County Sheriff Department and have been here since.
At what time did you begin your interviews?
A little before 1845.
What did Jet do in your interview with him?
Jet kept checking his phone to see how many likes and reposts the story got.
Did you get any information from him?
No, he was too obsessed with the social validation.
You said when you interviewed Psy, he frantically grabbed his phone a minute or two into the interview. Why do you think he did that?
I think he was trying to delete evidence from his phone, so I took it and it was on the settings screen, which is where the phone can be erased. He was then detained.
What information did you get before he did that?
I noticed he had cuts on his fingers. He said it was from restringing a guitar. He also seemed very sweaty and preoccupied.
You said you were contacted about a guitar string in the side door, stopping it from opening and causing much more crowding, and given pictures. Could putting a guitar string in a door cause those injuries?
Yes.
What were Psy's previous crimes?
He committed second-degree arson by burning down a school gym. He mixed two kinds of fireworks in a food prank and got community service for it.
What did you find in Psy's phone after you got permission to check it, as shown in Exhibit 8?
He had searched things like Corley Theater and concerts gone wrong and criminal penalties for threats and other things about Corley and disasters.
When was the Cynical Songwriter account created?
1714 on the 26th.
What was the law in question about cell phones and warrants?
Police need a warrant to search a cell phone, not to take.
Did you break this law?
I did not.
No further questions.
Does the defense wish to cross-examine this witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
How focused was Jet Jones on the amount of reposts that she got?
Jet seemed too interested to answer any questions, properly.
When did you take Psy's phone relative to getting a warrant?
Can you repeat that?
When did you take Psy's phone relative to getting a warrant?
I got a warrant, I believe, a day later, or 2 days.
Why did you not view Jody as a suspect, considering she also plays guitar?
Objection, Your Honor. Opinion?
Overruled.
Can you repeat the question?
Why did you not view Jody as a suspect, considering she also plays guitar?
Objection, non-responsive.
Sustained. Will the witness please answer the question?
I do not know.
Did you take any fingerprints at the scene?
I did not.
What made you think that it was Psy who placed the guitar string in the door, despite many other people at the theater playing guitar and having no fingerprints taken?
Objection, Your Honor. Opinion?
Sustained. Are you able to tie the Facebook account of Cynical Songwriter to Psy? Objection, Your Honor. Leading. Overruled.
I am not.
No further questions, Your Honor. Does the prosecution wish to redirect this witness?
No, Your Honor.
The witness may step down from the stand. The defense may call their second witness to the stand. We would like to call,
Jet Jones.
we would like to call Jet Jones to the stand.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Do Do you have any idea who Cynical Songwriter is?
No,
How many followers do you have on Facebook?
a little over 7,000.
What did you do after you saw the Facebook post about the bomb threat?
I immediately reposted it.
What were your intentions with the repost of Cynical Songwriter's post?
I wanted to make sure everyone saw it so they could exit the theater safely, but, a bomb threat is a very exciting story.
When you entered the Corley, what did you see?
I saw Jody messing around with the pyrotechnics.
When you saw Psy, did he tell you anything?
He told me to use the main doors because the side doors were jammed.
Alright. No further questions, Your Honor.
Does the prosecution wish to cross-examine this witness? Yes, Your Honor. How did you and Psy begin to be friends?
In 2018, we met at the Cola Club after one of their performances.
How did you interact on Facebook?
He would post about ambition and I would always repost it.
Can you confirm that you said I would hit the repost button reflexively as soon as I read it while talking about Psy's post?
Yes.
When did you see the post from Cynical Songwriter?
At 5:55 p.m.
When did you see Jody and Psy arguing?
When I entered the theater at 5.
Why didn't you contact Finley Fusco when Psy told you about the side doors?
I didn't really think that was my responsibility, honestly. I assumed Psy would tell him.
Did you know Psy was no longer an ambition?
No.
What kind of business relationship do you have with Psy?
I think we're friends more than just someone I work with.
No further questions.
Does the defense wish to redirect?
No, Your Honor.
The witness may step down from the stand. Does the prosecution have any more witnesses they'd like to call to the stand?
Your Honor, we would like to call Finley Fusco to the stand.
Will the witness please rise to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
How do you know Whit in the past?
He worked at Corley Theater before, and he's very thorough.
At what time did you check to see if the side doors were unlocked?
During the maintenance check around 5 o'clock.
Had anyone gone near the side doors after the maintenance check on them?
Psy did. Psy has.
What did you observe in the interaction between Psy and Jody?
Psy said some threats to Jody, and it got pretty heated.
When did you become aware of the Cynical Songwriter post?
After the event.
Who sent Ash Headley there to conduct a site visit on the Corley?
Psy.
What have you done in order to maintain the building's safety?
I do all the maintenance checks, and I requested for the side doors and stairs to be put in.
What happened to the side doors at the venue?
They got jammed by guitar string.
What was the condition of the side doors prior to the event?
They were perfectly clear before the event at 5 o'clock.
No more questions, Your Honor.
Does the defense wish to cross-examine this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. How safe is the design of the Corley Theater in terms of exit time for a large crowd?
It is pretty safe considering the side doors.
What was the reason everyone was looking at their phones during the concert? Was the reason everyone was looking at their phones during the concert because of Cynical Songwriter, or was it because of Jet Jones?
Objection, Your Honor, leading. Overruled.
You restate the question.
Was the reason everyone was looking at their phones during the concert because of Cynical Songwriter, or was it because of Jet Jones?
Jet Jones.
What did Jody do after the sound check finished?
I'm not sure.
All right, well, on page 38, line 160 to 161, it says, after Jody finished the sound check, I didn't see Jody on stage until performing at 6.
That's correct.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Does the prosecution wish to redirect?
No, Your Honor.
The witness may step down from the stand. Does the defense have any more witnesses they'd like to call to the stand?
Stevie Raven.
Will the witness please rise to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Stevie, how did your conversation with Psy go?
At first, he was distracted by the Uber that he was placing, but then he said he was happy to meet a fan. We talked, and he gave me his autograph.
When was this conversation?
Around 5:15.
What did Jet say about the bomb threat post?
He said it would make a good story.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Does the prosecution wish to cross-examine this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. On line 65 of your testimony, you said, I would have thought someone would have said something if the side stairs were not acceptable. Why do you think this?
Objection. Opinion.
Sustained.
When did fans start to go back into Corley?
Can you repeat the question?
When did fans start to go back into Corley?
When did who?
Fans.
Objection, Your Honor, unresponsive.
Sustained. Will the witness please answer the question?
Can you please repeat the question again?
When did fans start to go back into Corley Theater?
Oh, they were started going back in when the break ended around 6 o'clock for the next show.
In line 68 of your testimony, you said you were heading back into Corley about 5:15 p.m. Is that right?
Yes.
On line 72 of your testimony, you said you saw Psy outside of Corley around 5:15 p.m. What was Psy doing when you went to interact with him?
He was distracted by his phone. It looked like he was placing an Uber.
Did Psy seem to be friendly and happy to interact with a fan?
At first, he was apprehensive, but then he was happy, and I got his autograph.
Why was Psy going to Madison?
He said he was going to meet with a record producer.
On line 114 of your testimony, you said you accidentally bumped into Jet in the theater, and you showed you a post in Exhibit 7. How is Jet acting in this situation?
It seemed like he was interested by the post and wanted to he reposted it.
No further questions.
Does the defense wish to redirect?
No, Your Honor.
The witness may step down from the stand. Does the prosecution have any other witnesses they'd like to call to the stand?
No, Your Honor.
Does the defense have any other witnesses they'd like to call to the stand?
No, Your Honor.
Does the prosecution rest at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Does the defense rest at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Both the prosecution and the defense have rested their case now. So we will the jury is dismissed to take an hour recess.
So, this
But the prosecution and defense have now rested their cases. The attorneys will now present their final arguments. Please remember, what the attorneys say is not evidence. However, do listen closely. They are intended to aid you in understanding the case. Prosecution, you may begin.
Psy Miles has killed someone, not just anyone. A young woman who's one of their first fans, barely 27, and he doesn't have the courage to fess up to it. We've proven that Psy is a liar. He lied about where he was for the majority of the crime, and for the rest, he just happens to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. He's lied to Stevie, to Jet, to Jody, to all those people who've been key to his career. Even this far in, even when someone has died because of his attempt at petty revenge, Psy Miles won't admit when he's wrong, doing the same thing as he has since high school, and he escaped scot-free. We can't let him get off easy again. This time, he should have learned. He shouldn't make others pay for his mistakes. We have to put him where he belongs. All of this questioning and arguing has led to one simple fact. All the evidence points to Psy Miles having caused the death of Janet Porter. Consumed by rage, he created a Facebook account to threaten the theater and jam the side doors in an attempt to hurt people. The state of South Carolina hopes to prove to you in these final moments that Psy Miles is guilty of murder. It wasn't Jody. She got out onto the stage at 5:10, where Psy had been there for close to 10 minutes, and the doors were unlocked. The fans came in at 5:15, where no doubt someone would see if she tampered with anything. There was no time. She wasn't the one with cuts on their fingers. It wasn't Fusco. He's been careful. He's counted over the numbers and added safety features. Corley was as safe as it needed to be, and the one problem, the side doors, was caused by Psy. That theater hasn't murdered anyone. We know he's overreacted before. That's said and dealt with. But his argument with Jody that night was his waking point. According to him, it was just before 5 when he got onto the stage and saw Jody there, adjusting the pyro. There they had an argument up to the point where he left. 20 minutes. The side doors were locked then, he says, right before Whit went through them, perfectly fine and free, upon setting up the pyro. According to what we pull from other testimonies, Jody's, Stevie's, Fusco's, Whit's, it was 5:10 when Jody came out to see Psy on stage. The two of them argued, and Psy knew for sure that he needed revenge. That's the point where the doors jammed. When he was fiddling around the side doors with the guitar string he had and shoved it into the lock, cutting his fingers. He didn't get that from restringing his guitar. He's been playing since high school, and that's a frequent thing. With the first act of cornering all who were there done, he created a Facebook account by the name of Cynical Songwriter and left. He didn't want to be in the danger. The Cynical Songwriter couldn't have been a random concert goer. He said Ambition would bomb because I wasn't there, but no one knew that. Even Stevie, a huge fan of them, didn't know about it. Nor did Jet mention anything. This event was their first performance since I left. There's only one person who had the location and knowledge to have made it, and he's lied so much to be without motive. For example, the Uber. When Psy left through the main doors, he called for an Uber, and as he waited, he was met with Stevie Raven. Initially unreceptive, Psy came up with a quick excuse about starting a solo career. It was something on his mind, yes, but he certainly didn't have anything lined up. According to him, he was just trying to clear his mind and go for a walk. But why would you lie about that? There's only one reason. Neither of those were his motive for going there. In fact, upon his arrival, he saw the Cynical Songwriter post and left. Psy says he was just so worried about his friends and that he wanted to make sure they were okay. Of course, he'd follow Jet's live updates to follow, wouldn't he? Psy tells us he deleted his Facebook account at 6:20. It doesn't fit together. What does he want? To desperately help them and know what's happening, or not? He left. When he got back, he didn't speak to Jody, only with Ziegler, who he blamed for being so rude and willing to blame him. In his eyes, everyone is guilty other than himself. It's exaggeration after exaggeration, coincidence after coincidence, falsehoods, lies, deceptions. Don't let her name go down in vain. Janet Porter. She died at 7:13 that night, crushed and trampled in the panic. She had an 8-inch mutilation across her face, footprints covering her body, and her skull cracked. Janet didn't need to die. The only reason she died was because of that Facebook post, because of that shut door, because of Psy's lies. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, so Janet's death may not have to be in vain. I call on you to find Psy Miles guilty.
Defense, you may proceed with your closing arguments.
Your Honor, members of the jury, thank you for your time. All day today, you spent your time listening to a case that ranges from tragedy to misplaced blame. In this case that was presented to you all today, you listened to all of the evidence that the defense has to provide. We have brought our side to you to prove that Psy Miles, beyond all reasonable doubt, is not guilty for the crimes he has been accused of. Psy Miles is just a man, and one who has been framed based on circumstance alone for creating a threatening Facebook post by an account that made itself known as Cynical Songwriter, that anyone at all could have written, as well as for jamming the side exit doors in the Coralie Theater. The Facebook post threatened that the show was going to bomb in more ways than one. In all reality, Psy Miles is a scapegoat of it all, an easy target for the true culprit to place all of the blame for the tragic events of that night onto. When he met with Jody Rivers on the night of October 26, 2019, he found upon arrival that the side doors were already jammed when he got there. When he got there, he saw that Jody was holding tools of a wrench and a screwdriver near the pyrotechnics, which indicates that he wasn't the last one near them in any case. Even Finley Fusco said that Jody went missing after the sound check. On Psy's way out, he even made sure to tell Jet Jones that there was something wrong with them. And then he stopped to have a conversation with a fan whose name is Stevie Raven. Furthermore, when he did leave the theater, it was plainly because Jody Rivers told him to leave. The very moment he was notified of the possibility that something bad might have been happening at the Coralie Theater, he immediately headed back out of a place of concern for anyone and everyone involved. When he was interviewed at the time of his arrival on scene, Deputy Ziegler questioned him on the cut-up fingers that he had from restringing his guitar a few days prior, and then took his phone illegally and without warrant when Psy Miles went to pull it out to check the news. The guitar strings that were found jammed in the doors had no way of telling whose it was, and Jody also played guitar. It was based on circumstances of his cut-up fingers, which are from restringing his guitars days before. The scene and all of its evidence should have been properly examined, but instead it was Psy Miles who made out to be the culprit behind it all. During today's proceedings, you heard Psy Miles when he testified that Jody Rivers was the one who immediately agreed to the addition of the pyrotechnics. And you all know that from the very beginning, it was his unease and lack of inclusion in that decision that drove him into an argument with Jody over their contract and created tension between them. We also called to the stand the fan that Psy Miles spoke with, Stevie Raven, and journalist Jet Jones. Jet Jones was tagged in the threatening Facebook post that was made prior to the event and excitedly waited in the audience on the night of this tragic incident, sitting there with desire for an interesting story. It was attested to by Finley Fusco that it was Jet Jones who caused the increased panic, not anything that the Cynical Songwriter post said. Today, in this courtroom, we presented our case to prove that Psy Miles was framed and made out to be the one behind the tragedy of that fateful night where the pyrotechnics malfunctioned, the threatening Facebook post, which is impossible to tell who made it since it was made using a VPN, which was made by a still unknown source, and the side drawers were jammed. When it comes down to Psy Miles' search history, he had reason for every search. He researched Home Depot for materials to fix his broken sink, looks up concert gone wrong out of concern, and threats due to what Jody had said to him. The reason Psy Miles was concerned about the pyrotechnics before anything had actually happened was because he already expressed his worries from the very beginning and never even wanted to include them in the show. He is also being charged with murder and manslaughter following the events. The blame was placed onto him when he seemed like the easiest person to pick, even when all of the evidence is circumstantial and uncertain. We ask that the jury sees all the facts and comes to the conclusion that Psy Miles is an innocent man who is simply there to have the wrongful accusations of all these poor circumstances shifted onto him, and see that it was just that, circumstantial. At the surface level, he seemed like the most obvious option, and so the fingers were pointed at him. But now that you have heard everything that we had to present, hopefully you can see that he is not guilty of any of these charges. Psy Miles, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is a framed and innocent man.
At this time, we'll take another brief recess for the jury to decide the verdict of this case.
The jury is dismissed.
Jury has until 11:15. I'm sorry, about
We, the jury, impaneled and sworn into.
Freeze.
Yeah.
They have to rise, Kristen. The defendant has to rise. The whole defending team has to rise. Kristen, if you want to step away that mic, put that mic up and step away. Okay? So you're not just like that.
You can stand.
All right, you're ready.
All right. We, as the jury, impaneled and sworn into all above entitled cause, upon our oaths, find as follows. As the count 1 murder, the defendant is not guilty.